Hello and welcome to the Milford Finance Committee, Wednesday, September 19th, 2018. First item on the agenda is the approval of the 9/12/18 minutes. Motion by Aldo, second by Chuck. All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, we're going to be going through the warrant for the town meeting article. We have quite a bit of department heads coming in today. The first item on the agenda, is the Town Meeting Improvement Committee. They have multiple articles on the warrant. Reno DeLuzio is going to come in and discuss some of the committee's articles and what it entails. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening, everybody. Well. We're getting tired of seeing me show up here.
Never tired of seeing you, Reno.
Before we get started, I'd like to make an announcement. Town Meeting Study and Improvement Committee is holding a pre-town meeting forum on October 9th. When the warrant goes out on Friday, there'll be a letter in the warrant explaining the details about the forum and opportunity for the public and town meeting members to designate the articles they would like to see discussed at the forum. So in the next couple of weeks, we're now out to the media advertising the pre-town meeting forum. I just talked to Al about perhaps getting a spot on his show. So we'll probably have plenty of publicity. I just want to give you a heads up as to what's happening when the warrant goes out.
Tell me again the date.
The 9th. It's here.
It?
Yep.
9th
Okay.
Town Hall.
Right here?
Right here. What time?
7 o'clock.
What?
I need to know the date and time tonight, or you won't make any paper.
I think the paper got notified, but it's October 9th at 7 p.m. in the upper hall. October 9th, 7 p.m. in the upper hall. Okay.
When we start with the, just go in numerical order, Article 3.
Well, I'd like to make a suggestion. Articles 3, 5, 6, and 7 were put in the warrant because the committee is developing a new handbook, and we have to capture a baseline that the town meeting operates under to use as a basis for developing the handbook. So they're all based on that theme. They're in the warrant for that purpose. And I'd like you to consider those as a group. That's 3, 5, 6, and 7.
Still, Reno, if you could just give me just the highlights, like number 3 is the standing. I mean, just
well,
for the benefit of the public and for the committee members.
So I have my teammate here, Mike Bontempo, who did most of the research to develop these articles. So I'd like to have him give you the capsule version of each one.
Sounds good. Well, all you.
Are you ready?
Can you do me a favor? Just because the audio in this room, if you can just move the mic. Thank you.
So we'll start with Article 3 first. We'll just jump right to that. There are 2 reasons why the committee chose town meeting time as the parliamentary handbook by which the proceedings of our town meeting are to be governed by. The first is that this parliamentary handbook is the parliamentary handbook that town moderator Attorney Michael J. Nofri uses to moderate our meetings. This is what he's unofficially used. The second is that town meeting time was written precisely with Massachusetts town meetings in mind. The authors are Massachusetts town moderators who consulted federal moderators of experience, read cases and statutes from the 6 New England states and procedural bylaws from some 200 Massachusetts towns, and examined a number of manuals of procedure. So that's why Article 3 has town meeting time as the baseline for the way that town meeting should be governed.
Okay.
And it's something that.
Quick highlight. What's changing? Like, what would be an example of something that's going to be different?
Well, no. Well, the whole idea behind codifying these, what we do here at town meeting is that nothing changes.
Okay.
It's just when the subcommittee started reviewing handbooks of various towns, what we found is that most towns cite in their handbooks a specific parliamentary handbook, as well as in their town bylaws, they also have various customs and traditions that have been codified. So it made sense that in order to have a handbook, a prerequisite to that is to codify what we do here at town meeting. So a couple of these articles were adding things to what we do. One would be this town meeting time. The second one would be the article on saluting the flag. But all the other articles having to do with town meeting procedures are just what we do now. They're just going to be codified. That's it.
Okay.
Is it safe to say that, I mean, people keep referring to Robert's rules, and a lot of people did not know that we don't run our meetings according to Robert's rules too, and this is just telling everybody, here is the set of rules we run by?
Yes, exactly. And it's stated in town meeting time. One of the things the author stated is, of utmost importance is not which manual is selected as the basis, but that there be a basis known to and available to the public, and that the rules of order be applied fully, impartially, and consistently. And the reason why town meeting time, a lot of it is based on Robert's rules, but the reason they don't endorse Robert's rules is that the Supreme Judicial Court has, in one of its rulings, said that Robert's rules really doesn't apply to town meeting.
Okay. Any motion on Article 3? For what? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, just to you and the rest of the committee, I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be prudent for the committee in general just to refer these to sponsor, because they have done a tremendous amount of work in years of work. They have been very great communicating the history, what drove these decisions, and I'm not opposed to favorable, unfavorable. I just think, in my opinion, the more appropriate vote would be refer to sponsor.
That's why I asked what the motion was. Thank you, Bobby.
I understand.
You knew it.
Right now, you have a motion on this one second. I'll take my motion back.
Well, I didn't know what your motion was for. Oh, favorable. He said favorable. I'm sorry. All right. So now is there a motion on the floor, now that it's been retracted? Thank you, Aldo. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Mike. All those in favor? Unanimous. Article
Okay,
Next one is 5. Article 5.
5.
yes, articles, a little introduction, Articles 5, 6, and 7. The subcommittee reviewed town meeting time in relation to the act that established town meeting, representative town meeting in the town of Milford. Also, the standing votes of town meeting rules, and videotapes of Milford town meetings. The committee subsequently met with town moderator on 2 occasions, and we discussed 23 items relative to the proceedings of town meeting. Attorney Nofri concurred on the disposition of all those items, all 23. 5 of them became articles in the warrant, 5 were referred to town administrator, and 1 ended up back on our plate. And 12 were matters that would be handled in the handbook, and 1 was tabled for additional study. And the reason why we have 5, 6, and 7 is these were not explicit in town meeting time. So the committee deemed it necessary to codify them again, these customary practices in our town meeting. So that's why we have Articles 5, 6, and 7, which is, Article 5 is on the motions in writing. Article 6 is the seconding of motions. And Article 7 is the motion to dispense or waive the reading of a motion.
I just have a quick question on
Sure.
Article 6. Is that for like non-controversial housekeeping motions?
No, the way that Attorney Nofri does, anytime anybody makes a motion, he automatically seconds it. And that's the way it's been done. Other town meetings, for example, Stowe has in their bylaws that the moderator cannot second a motion. Yes. Other towns require that somebody else second it, and if you watch videotapes of the town meetings, somebody makes a motion, and then the moderator sometimes stands there and looks around waiting for somebody to second the motion. So Mike just wants to keep the proceedings going, and also, if somebody makes a motion, he wants to make sure that they get up there and speak their mind, or speak their piece.
Motion on Article 5?
Second.
Motion by Chuck, second by Jerry. All those in favor to refer to sponsor on Article 5? Unanimous. Article 6.
That's the same
Yep, did
rationale.
that. All right,
for
motion
6
on
and
Article
7.
6. Motion by Mike, second by Andy. All those in favor to refer to sponsor on Article 6? Unanimous. Mike, Soers, and Andy. Article 7.
That's the same.
Okay,
Same rationale.
I just want to read it real quick just to, okay, great. Article 7, motion by Aldo, second by Jerry to refer to sponsor on Article 7. All those in favor, unanimous. Yes. Yes, sir.
When you say standing vote, does that mean there won't be any more voice votes?
Say that again?
When you say have standing vote, does that mean there won't be any voice votes?
No, the standing vote, you mean the standing votes of town meeting?
Yeah.
Town meeting, that's just, when you look at our bylaws, so to speak, that's the title these rules are under. So I think standing votes in that sense means established votes.
Still get your yeas and nays.
Absolutely.
All right, Article 4 is the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. This was in our survey that we did of town meeting members over a year and a half ago, and the result was 77% of the respondents favored reciting the pledge at the meeting, and then we amplified it to leave it to the moderator's discretion to invite somebody in to do a little more entertainment if he wanted to get the meeting psychologically ready to proceed. So it's got the pledge plus some
Really
little-
pump us up for town meeting?
Yeah, right. Gets the juices
The
flowing
opening act.
before the town meeting.
I think this is long
So
overdue
this is
right
in response to the town meeting survey.
Motion on Article 4?
Refer to sponsor.
Motion by Jerry to refer to sponsor, second by Jack. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Most in favor of that.
22.
The next one is Article 22. I have to explain this one a little bit. Mike hinted on it, but we had a number of items referred to the town administrator for further action, and our committee did not vote on those items at our last meeting. And one of them had to do with how incumbents are reelected. And the problem is that we have this, our committee is the sponsorship right now, but technically we're not the sponsor, but we're meeting Monday night and hopefully we can clarify this. In my memo to Rick, I did not explicitly say, please prepare this article for town meeting and choose an appropriate sponsor. So he assumed we were going to be the sponsor.
What article is this now?
22.
Yep.
It's not
Yeah,
22 on
absolutely.
Yes,
my list.
Wait, on 22? Oh, Mike is going to explain the article. I just want to introduce this technicality. We're going to present it, you can discuss the merits of it, and we're going to meet Monday night. Hopefully, the committee will agree to sponsor it. If not, we'll have to pass it over. But anyway, now Mike can explain the rationale.
So actually, before we do this, would you prefer that we even hear this out, or do you make a move, or do you want me to wait till the 26th? It's up to you guys. We're meeting once more
If you've
before
got the
town
time, we can wait till after our meeting on Monday night, which is the 24th, and I can tell you if the vote was favorable to sponsor it.
Yeah, because
and we
to
can
be
move
honest
on.
with you, unless you guys are all set with that end, I don't think it's right for us to take a vote on something that, if you guys still have stuff up in the air on it. But that's just me, okay?
Yep, okay.
All right, so
All right.
we won't talk about 22 then. Oh, I'm sorry, but you, yeah, I'll do it.
In that first paragraph, it says that Board of Selectmen petition the legislature for special legislation to provide for current town meeting members to become candidates, et cetera, et cetera. Not being an attorney, the wording on that, I would interpret as the current meeting members, period. Not a current meeting member. There's this, the way I read this, it's the only ones that are gonna be able to do it in the way they intended to do it are current town meeting members. My presumption is you mean that if you are a current town meeting member, you don't have to get the signatures. Am I reading it correctly?
Well, no, it's for all town meeting members.
That's not what it says. It says a current town meeting member, they're gonna vote on that as a
Do you have
current
the-
town meeting member. Does that carry over? It doesn't. You want to say that if you are seated as a current member, you don't need this. Again, we've got
Which,
dozen attorneys in here.
where are we talking?
I'm talking
The first paragraph?
first paragraph, it says to become a candidate for current town meeting members. I would read that as the people out here voting at the town meeting are the current town meeting members.
So current town meeting members as in 2018, or current town meetings also in
Current town meeting member.
No, it's,
Town meeting member
it's,
10 years from now. That's not the way I read it, but
But the intent of this,
But it's a great intent, I have no problem with it. The fact is, can you enforce it?
Oh, did you
Or
want
does
this?
it get kicked back to us?
I don't think it'll get packed, because it doesn't say, it says 4 current members to become candidates for re-election. So that's whoever's up for re-election.
My point is, I have no problem with it. I'm asking the question, should it indicate that you're talking about any current member 10 years from now? Or does this, if someone reads this that knows a heck of a lot more about writing these things, is that going to be interpreted as the current members that vote for that thing at that particular time?
Okay, I understand your distinction. I think the best thing to do is to ask town council rather than me.
Town council prepared the article, so we can ask the question.
If we can avoid having to build the wheel again, let's avoid it.
Well, you brought up a point, Aldo. That's why the committee didn't want to be the sponsor, because we're not the legal experts either. So anyway, we're caught in this dilemma right now. We'll straighten it out and we'll get that question. No. You understand, that's the practice now. So,
You're coming back to talk about this anyway, so I think maybe if you address that, that would be information you could give to us when
yeah,
you see us.
we will. Do you want us to come back on the 26th? Do we have to?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to come back on the 26th.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So 34.
34. The Town Meeting Study and Improvement Committee has been operating without a budget, and we have some expenses that we incur. This article is to get some funding for the operation of the Town Meeting Study and Improvement Committee. We have some, for example, some 50-plus members who don't have or decide not to use email, so we have to mail the correspondence that we send via email with 85% of the town meeting members by U.S. mail. So we got envelopes, we got labels, return envelopes, return labels. We're working on a town meeting procedural guide and a town meeting handbook, and we would maybe use some of the fees for, some of the dollars for consulting fees, because we're also working on educational videos and an additional audio system improvements, so consultation services for those activities might be required. So in general, we have sort of a small basket of things that we think we're going to spend a few dollars on. It's not an annual budget, it's appropriation. Could last a couple of years, I'm not sure, but anyway, that's a starting point, so we don't have anonymous donors supporting the Town Meeting Study and Improvement Committee.
Jerry.
I'm a little concerned as to why this is an article, first and foremost. Wouldn't this be better under the Selectmen's budget?
I think going forward, it might be a very good idea.
I mean, and let us evaluate that budget from time to time on an as-needed basis. And I'm not so sure there's enough room in the Selectmen's budget, the general government budget. I missed the number.
$5,000.
I'm sure there's enough room that should be just part of their budget. It's the administration of town hall.
I can only tell you that the town accountant advised this approach. The financial director advised this approach.
We don't need an
It's
article
just
for
an
$5,000.
estimate for the kinds of things that I think we're going to incur some
Especially if
dollars
it goes in the budget, the
for
money's every single
in the
year.
future.
Whereas if this 5,000 will just
That's our
sit there.
job, to monitor the budget as it comes and goes, whether it's needed or not.
Their budget was $1,000 a year, and that covered all the mailings and everything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple of other things
The
going
only
on
thing
here,
I don't like though is
video
putting it in a budget,
development and
it's
so
gonna
on.
stay there forever. And it's gonna get increased all the time
Not if
too.
we do our job.
I understand, Jerry.
I
It's
mean,
just stuff like that just quickly gets absorbed. Tavi?
Mr. Chairman, I think this committee has proven itself to be an exemplary committee. It's completed a lot of work in a short period of time. And I don't see any problem appropriating the $5,000 as laid out in Article 4. So with that, I will make a motion for a favorable recommendation on Article 3.
Motion by Bobby, second by Alberto for a favorable recommendation on Article 34 for $5,000 for funding for the Town Meeting and Study Improvement Committee. All those in favor?
Will this fund be rolling over? Like, if you spend 1,000, will they have 4,000?
That's the thing about an article. That article stays there. It doesn't fall to the bottom line versus the budget.
Until they either spend it or we ask for it back, it just stays there.
Can I add one more statement?
Yep, Reno.
Okay, all right. Okay.
All those in favor? And what do we got? You're down, Jerry? Oh, you're up? Okay,
No,
sorry, unanimous then.
I'm actually, I'm not in favor, so you can put me down as a no,
So that's a no, okay.
as long as in the budget.
So, one opposed. Jerry.
I don't.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Obviously, let me know how everything
Yep.
goes with 22,
Yep, we will.
and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Follow the rule? I don't have a problem spending. Well, I don't know. Mr. Chairman, we need a clarification on the last article.
All right, the Parks Department, I'm sorry, Jerry, yep. Oh, Mike.
We have a question amongst us.
Yeah, the acoustics aren't the best, so maybe I misunderstood something here, but is this a one-time, non-recurring amount?
One time, non-occurring, that's why, versus putting it in the budget where it would be every year. This is a one-time 5,000. They'll spend down the article over the period of, as he said, 2 or 3 years, or maybe longer. And in order to get any more money, they would have to come back to us for another article. Or, as Jerry mentioned, maybe we put it in the Selectmen's budget and do it that way, and we can address it at that time, how we'd want to handle that. So this is a one-time, they have to come back and ask for it again in order to get the
I
5,000.
think to Jerry's point there, if there's any thought at all of putting it in the selectmen's budget, that should be addressed sooner than later, rather than waiting until the 5,000 runs out.
Well, and then once, if we do decide as of July 1st, any remainder, we'd say once we put them in the budget, their budget would start July 1st.
The problem I have with these articles is now we've increased the budget by another $5,000 for this go-around.
Well, we haven't increased the budget 5,000.
Yeah, well, you actually
Because that
did.
was one time, 5,000.
You
We
actually
increased
did.
it.
You actually did, but that's okay. Go
With
ahead.
all due respect, I think it's the other way. If you put it in the selectmen's budget this year, you've increased the budget. We've done this in the past. Jerry's right technically. We should watch every penny. But in the
Yes.
past, we've said, if it's a one-time,
I'm referring to the next budget.
well, that's what I'm just saying. But
Yes.
the next budget, if it's decided that we should put in $1,500 a year, what we've done in the past is then we'll ask for the remainder of this money back,
Yes.
It's a miscellaneous
put it
item.
in.
It doesn't belong on an article.
but don't build their budget because you don't need 5,000 a year. And it's too easy to miss it.
Yeah, and to me, once this gets established, I can't imagine this is going to be an ongoing thing. You know what I mean? I think once Reno gets it going and everything gets established, I think we'll be all set. All right, the Parks Department is finishing up down at the Personnel Board, and they are still not up here yet.
We don't really need them here. I don't know why they were invited to come here.
If there's any questions, I don't want...
There's no question. We have.
Well,
four.
you don't have any questions, Jerry.
I have the answer.
I got other people that might have questions, though, then unfortunately I have to entertain them, so. So I do see the library in the back. I see Miss Edmonds. I don't know if she wants to come up and do her article now.
See if they're ready.
Of course, we have questions.
Did you ever get an answer about the 50 grand? No response? Huh? Didn't get an answer. We go no.
They're not ready. All right. Zach, you two want to jump in? Maybe get you guys out of here? Oh, sorry. That versus waiting for 9:30, I think maybe you'll take now. Can you just pass that? He's withering. The camera subtracts 60 pounds.
50.
Yeah, 50. I was close.
Oh, yeah.
Chris, Sue is just checking with something. She may or may not be able to jump in.
It's not a problem. I just figured she was there, and she certainly were ahead of schedule, so thanks for asking. Once again, Sue, no pressure. Don't worry about it. I get it. Yeah. All right. We're going to move down to the end of the agenda where I have the finance director and Tom and Zach are here to talk about articles. I have you down for 1, 15, and 17. Cover whatever ones you want. If you don't want to cover them,
Tom's handing out a document now. I'm going to let him tackle this one first.
Okay, this is for Article 15, the clerk stipends. And as it reads in this schedule, as a result of the recent study performed by the Personnel Board regarding wage and salary levels for clerks, various boards and committees, we're submitting the schedule outlined below for your review and support. The Personnel Board recommendation was passed under Article 2 of the May 14, 2018 annual town meeting to be effective July 1st, 2018. So the schedule below outlines, as you see, column 3, these were the budgets that were passed for FY19 for each position, minutes recorder, and the various clerks of each board. The second column outlines the actual amounts, the wage and salaries that were approved per Article 2. The final column is a change, which is the net result of the study. Now, as you see, there's some negative balances. That indicates that those balances are in excess of what the actual final change is. So I'll give you an example. The Jean, who just retired, as you know, her stipend was grandfathered in because of her long years of service. So now that she's moved on, when the next person comes on board, the actual position is set for a wage scale well below that, which means we have those available funds, and those ones that are in parentheses are the ones that are available at each position that we will be transferred. So we will use those excess funds that have already been budgeted, no additional funds needed, and we'll use that. For example, the Parks Commission clerk was set for a salary scale much higher, as you see, and it almost coincides with the Selectmen one. So as a result, after all the transfers have been made with the available funds with no additional funding, the amount that we'll need to appropriate, or we'll ask for appropriation and your support on, is $1,933. So that's the net effect of the difference that we'll need to move on at town meeting.
and this is a one-time, just clearing everything out. Next year's budget will be effectively
10%.
it will have all the rates where they currently will be set. But this is basically just to catch us up from what we currently are at. So with the reductions and the additions. Any other questions? Mike?
Yeah.
I'm curious what the justification is for the tripling of that one. Like, most lines are more or less where they were, but
Well, with all due respect,
You have to go
bring in
downstairs
the
2
Personnel
floors.
Board to ask them. That was the study they put together, and it was approved by town meeting, so.
so they're asking us to adjust what was approved already for this budget.
Well, remember, column 1 is the budget itself that was approved, and that was all had to be approved before Personnel Board got together and completed the study.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yep.
If you recall, this came out really late in the budget season. We basically had finalized it with this committee. We're set to move forward, and then this came out, so.
And we actually agreed on
We
this,
made
that
the
we would.
decision to say, we'll put it for the town meeting. If it
Yep.
passes, we'll come back now and we'll deal with it, so.
And when I say we, I'm talking about me and Zach, and not talking about any of you guys. That it would be a can of worms to reopen all these budgets.
Correct.
Just a short period of time before town meeting.
Correct.
That we thought, we knew that the catch-up was going to be so small that we could catch it up in the fall.
Correct.
And that's why it's coming up here now.
So the rates were set, but the budgets didn't line up, so we're correct on that.
That's
Correct.
exactly correct.
Yes.
It sounds like it's $2,000 to live up to what the town meeting voted. We had a budget that they voted on. They came back and said, we want these new rates, and we're, out of 101 million, we're $2,000 off. So we gotta put $2,000 in to live up to what the town meeting voted
You got it.
And then it's about a $4,000 increase on an
on an annual.
basis.
No, I'm sorry.
Phil?
Tom,
Yes.
I know this was a Personnel Board article and approval, but do you know the rationale? Some stipends are 2, some are at 4, some are at 6. Any thought?
Well, I mean, I can only assume that it was based off their opinions of the volume, how many meetings each one attends, where your finance committee may have more than one meeting a month, 2 meetings, sometimes you have special meetings, whereas other boards only have one, maybe once a month. But I can surely give an example or two.
It also took into account some of these clerks here are not just minute recorders. They also do the accounts payable, they do the payroll. Yeah, so the way I understood it too was they applied their ranking that they've done with the salaries and wages for the salary and then the hourly individual, and then applied that criteria to the clerks and came up with 3 levels of responsibility and then kind of placed the positions from there.
And if you look to the far left, it shows actually the level that they,
And one last comment, the one that keeps coming up in reference to the parks was originally brought to the attention of the personnel board by the parks asking to up it. And I think that's what triggered this whole study, to be honest with you.
No, thank you. I just have a comment. Diana, I'm sorry about the deduction. You cut salary of $60 there.
We'll be passing the hat after the meeting. So.
She gets grandfathered. She'll be grandfathered.
Yes, we'll take care of her. Jack, did you have something?
well, you brought up what I was thinking. That was a good move to reduce the finance committee.
She's elbowing me this entire time, just so
Believe
that you can't see it. So.
$60, but increasing another one, 4,000. That doesn't seem, but in your wisdom, I agree with it.
I'll go to the personnel board for you.
We only present the facts, right?
All right. Do I have a motion on Article 15? Favorable by Chuck. Do I have a second? By Phil. All those in favor for favorable recommendation on Article 15? Unanimous. Thanks, guys. 1 and 17.
Which one is it? So Chairman, is number 1 the retained earnings of the sewer or the tax titles?
I said 1 or 17. Your other two, I don't.
That's it.
That's one's tax title.
Yeah, all right, so I'll do the tax title. Chris couldn't be here tonight, so I said I'll do it on his behalf. All this article doing here is allowing him, and as you can see, it's co-sponsored by the town council as well, so it's allowing him, with permission from town meeting, to enter into payment agreements with tax title. We're at a point now where we're trying to take a little bit more of an aggressive approach. We've never had, the treasurer has never had the ability in the past to enter into an agreement, but I'm not sure it's been brought to town meeting and been defeated. I just don't think it's been attempted. So as you can see when you read it, it's kind of aggressive terms here. So the mentality in the past has been we're not a bank. So if you want to enter an agreement, go get the funds and you can take care of it that way. But this all has to do with an attempt to just try to collect funds that are outstanding right now. Again, there's some pretty aggressive terms right here. You have to have 25% down up front, which could be difficult for many. Not more than 5 years, may not waive any interest. I believe that, so when these things go through tax title, there's 2 components of interest. There's collector's interest, and then it goes to treasurer's interest. The other main point here is, I believe, and Chris can correct this at the next meeting if I'm off, which I don't think I am, that once you enter into this agreement, it stops the treasurer's interest. So many times people try to come in and make partial payments and they're doing nothing with the principal because the interest is literally like 14%. So again, it's an attempt to try to help some people get themselves out of trouble and
Keep the town out of the real estate business.
there you go. Yeah.
Motion by Mike for a favorable recommendation, second by Phil. All those in favor for a favorable recommendation on Article 1? Unanimous.
Next article, we talked a little bit about at the last meeting. This is simply just taking some retained earnings from the sewer enterprise fund, which is approximately 3.2 million currently, and moving it 3.2 million, and moving it into the stabilization account that we have, which is significantly higher than that. That's, let's see.
17.
What was it on here?
17.
You covered it the last meeting, sir.
Yeah. It's just moving it over to
Just
have a
moving
more
it-
an aggressive approach of being.
To get a
able
better
actually
return on their
invest.
money, and they don't need it.
Yeah.
We talked about it at our last
Exactly.
meeting.
So we're looking to move 2 million.
I'll move favorable.
Yeah. Yeah. Motion by Jerry for favorable, second by Bobby. All those in favor for favorable recommendation on Article 17? Unanimous. Thank you guys very much.
you.
And
Thank you.
Zach, I don't see anything else here. Go home.
I'll hang around. Don't worry.
And, well, actually, talk to your boss first, not me. Parks. How'd you guys do? We're smiling? All right.
We're 1-0.
Let's see how we do. All right, we're going to bounce back to the regular agenda, and Parks was next. So, gentlemen, Mr. Arcudi and Mr. Braza, if you want to come up. All right, gentlemen, the Parks Department have 4 articles on the warrant, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Any order you guys want?
Down the pipe? Right down the pipe. Let's go right down the pipe.
All right, sounds good to me.
Article number 24?
Yep.
Okay. Let me lead off. Go ahead. Okay. Article 24. This request represents a one-time, non-reoccurring line item expenditure of $9,000 to provide labor and materials for lighting and other associated electrical needs at Draper Memorial Park. Once completed, the $9,000 would be eliminated from the budget. Presently, the electrical capacity at Draper Park is limited and consists of an irrigation system and a couple of outlets in one corner of the park. We have had numerous requests to increase the electrical power to be able to accommodate and appropriate a holiday lighting display. A lighting display would really provide a great and festive appearance and enhance the entire downtown area. Thank you.
Questions? Alberto?
One real quick one. You said it would be eliminated from the budget. This is an article. We would not be taking money from your budget. This is a one-time article, right?
Oh, one-time
saying.
expenditure, yes, yes.
Nothing to do with budget.
Nothing to do with budget.
Okay.
Just a one-time, exact.
One time, one shot.
The way you said it, you wanted to
Thank you.
subtract 9,000
That's
from
what
your
I'm
Parks
saying.
Department
Oh, no.
budget.
Well, I wanted to.
We're looking out for you.
Add it and then
We're looking
subtract
out
it.
for you here, Joe.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Are we increasing the capacity, the electrical capacity with this article?
I am going to
Yes, we
refer
It's
to,
not just purchasing lights, it's also adding permit.
No, we are going to be spreading out the electricity capacity throughout the park. As everybody in this room very well knows, we have a nativity set that's on the end, which cannot be provided with electricity. We try to pull from the traffic light power that was on the sidewalks. Capacity is not there. So with this, we are basically installing a separate service for the park itself. And then we can have Christmas tree lights, we can have the nativity set in. It's on its own separate situation outside of any other electricity, because if we attached to any other municipality, if something popped, we'd lose traffic lights, we'd lose street lights, and it's just not feasible. So that's why this event came up.
There was a question raised about whether there's other work being done at this park, or whether these upgrades should be delayed until some of these other things are being dealt with. I don't know if that's been talked about.
To my knowledge, there is no other work being done at this park. To the park commission.
Raise a question on that.
Right, there was supposedly upgrades, committee, a subcommittee or a committee looking into upgrading certain things over at Draper Park and one other park. Paul was on that committee as well.
Now, the only request that we've had is Draper Park to upgrade the electricity. Any other requests I'm unaware of. I don't know if you're aware.
Citizens from Milford.
That's Citizens from Milford, that isn't us.
That isn't us, yeah. So,
Citizens from Milford are proposing something, but we have no idea what it is, and it's not on our radar.
Wouldn't that go through you before it was implemented?
but we don't have a request.
No, but I'm just saying, Paul.
That would go through
I
us
think one
before
of
it
the
was
concern
implemented,
is
yes.
that a different group does things in the park, they would still have to come through you.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I'm comfortable, I just want to make sure it goes through.
And if that screws up whatever you did with the electric, then obviously, then it's a no-go. So at least you guys will have the last say on that.
But nothing where, nothing, if they're gonna be doing any excavation or anything like that. Yeah, no.
As long as it's going through you, I'm comfortable.
Yes.
I just don't want other people mucking around
Gotcha.
and screwing up what we just paid.
Neither do we.
Favorable recommendation by Jack on Article 24.
Wait a minute.
I just have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joyce.
No, that's okay. When we had a discussion, I thought we were going to, you were just going to try to take this, excuse me, and use it out of your budget for now?
That discussion, there was a discussion at our meeting on Thursday, and that came from Mr. Hyatt.
But we agreed to do this.
I don't, we discussed it. We didn't agree to, you agreed to do it. We didn't agree to do it. You agreed that you were gonna bring it back here and have a discussion with this board.
At that time, we had a discussion, a recommendation was made that you would use your budget, maintenance budget, to do the upgrade, and if you're not gonna do that, that's fine. But that's when we also agreed, like we've done in the past, when these kind of situations come up, this committee, if you run $9,000 short in May, we will make it up in May.
I'd
And
like
we will
to know
take
where
it
you're
out
gonna
of
find it.
another, we'll take it out of another area.
They just said maybe they weren't gonna show up, but the meeting was basically canceled.
Absolutely.
Can I bring something up, please?
Yep, whatever you want.
At that meeting, I was not in attendance because I was informed by our chairman that Joyce couldn't attend, so our meeting was postponed. Okay, Joyce did attend, I was not in attendance, so basically, when we get a message from my chairman, and Joe got the same message, that our meeting was gonna be postponed because Joyce couldn't attend, the meeting was null and void. Yes, Jerry showed up and Joyce showed up. I was not in attendance because of communication from our board. So I feel that anything that was discussed is null and void. And that's what I want to bring up.
Doesn't make a difference whether it's null and void, it's the right thing to do.
Well, the right thing to do at the time too, you came in and you were saying no to this article, no to this article, no to the truck, because we were going to be buying a $60 million water facility, and we had no funds to fund stuff like this, because we're gonna buy a $60 million water facility. At that time, I called a timeout, because things were getting a little out of hand. And at the time, like Paul was saying, he was right. The meeting was on. Mr. Brothers was not gonna be in attendance at the beginning because we were interviewing for the clerk's position. Then Mr. Braza was going to come after and meet with the subcommittee. There was a miscommunication. We told Mr. Braza there's no need to come, there's going to be no subcommittee meeting. Mr. Hyatt showed up. Ms. Levine showed up. We said, let's sit down and have a discussion because you guys are here. So they didn't have to leave their house for nothing. But the rest of the subcommittee was not there. So the rest of the Parks Subcommittee was not there, and we were missing a Parks Commission. So now we're here tonight, and there was some discussion about that, but we're here tonight to talk about this article as it stands now.
So with that being said, I would say we're not going to say that we had a park subcommittee recommendation. I would think that that would be a fair statement because there wasn't enough people and the meeting was canceled. So I would say that I would have to agree with you.
The meeting was not canceled, we were attending
I
their meeting.
don't want it. The point is you didn't have a quorum anyway. We're going to say that there's no recommendation from the Parks Committee. You guys can vote individually however you want, and I'm not telling you that. But I would say that if we ask what the recommendation of the Parks Subcommittee is, I would say we shouldn't ask that question. Is that fair? I think that's fair. Don't you think so? I think that's fair.
Point of clarification,
Yep.
too. Joe, with all due respect, I
Yes.
disagree. The town meeting set forth a budget where we put $1.5 million in capital. individual purchase should not be held hostage. Because we might buy or whatever, we already took into consideration that we might buy a water company, that we might do this. This article ought to stand on its own merits.
I
Okay?
agree.
I'm just saying, the fact that we might spend something, when town meeting already agreed that we have $1.5 million to deal with articles.
I got your motion.
So, we're okay.
We're in
Whether we
agreement.
buy a water company or not, I do not believe is germane to whether this is the right article or not.
Thank you, I appreciate
It's
that.
up to you. I'd say keep it. We have a motion on the floor for a favorable recommendation on this article. Let's get back to that. Mike is seconding that. So all those in favor for a favorable recommendation on Article...
Did we just cut off discussion totally?
No, I just asked, does anyone else have discussion?
Because I missed that part of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. I have some comments to make about it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry. I thought I said that. I apologize. My fault.
Because in the past, when we've come up with this kind of situation,
Yep.
in the past, whether it be the highway department, we've always recommended that they go back to their budget and take it out of their budget, fund it out of their budget, and then come back around at the end of the year, and we will take necessary steps to adjust the budget within their own budget or with the finance director to make this up. This shouldn't be an article. This on the town meeting, because it was never on the list to begin with, that I know of. If it is, then that's news to me.
Okay.
And it's such a small amount compared to the overall budget,
Yeah.
and it falls into, I'm going to change the light bulbs in my house or upgrade the electrical system in my house. That's part of running the whole Parks Department itself. This is, this is not the way we should do things. We should take a second look, because if this is the case, then we're going to have 40 articles on town meeting floor. Every time someone wants to, change a light bulb or change an electrical box or change a tire on a car, we're going to have another article. We have funded these articles with enough money, in most cases, that there's plenty of room to move within that budget to do a project like this without having a town meeting article. And we got some more like this coming on at the same time. But if we're going to hold two, it's got to be on the schedule to get funding, then let's hold two. Let's not start making exceptions this early in the process.
Yeah. Good points. Joyce, did I see anybody else? I'm sorry, I'm not calling on people, but I also don't want to screw up again. Jack, and then Phil.
Okay, we have disagreement here as to whether or not it will vote. However, we can look at it this particular way. It's not a reoccurring article, okay? It's a one-time article. It's basically a capital improvement. So, there is no way that this is going to go into the budget, because once this is decided, it ends right there. Is that right, guys?
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay? So, although there was a misunderstanding, although we have a bunch of other stuff to discuss, in the spirit of Milfordians, I think we should give them the money, and next time, make sure everybody's at the meeting and everybody's on the same page. I'm just trying to mediate this now, guys.
I'm just following your lead with what you've done in the past, the last 10, 20 years, Jack. You've made that recommendation time and time again, that you fund it out of your budget. At the end of this cycle, we'll take a look at it and see where we have to, if need be, we'll come back and put the money back in. That's the easy way to do it, and that's fine. And I've always followed your lead for 20, 25 years doing that. And we've done it with a highway on many occasions. And we've always come out in the end, everything gets covered and taken care of. I had this discussion with the finance director also, and he also agrees that this is the way it should be done. So we can...
Phil.
I just have a procedural question. I'm not opposed to the article, but I just want to ask something else. Just refresh, my memory in terms of, this is clearly a capital item. Where should this item show up? Is it under the threshold, is $25,000 cutoff? I mean, where should this be? Okay, I just want to get a sense.
I'm hearing two different things. Jerry is right that when there was a repair if you remember, what he's referring to is when Scotty and the predecessor had the high back break, we asked Shelley, please eat it, and then the end of the year, if you don't have enough money, we'll cover you. That was for a repair. And if I'm not mistaken, this is not a repair.
No.
This is an expansion, which it's new something. It's not a fix of old something that we would do. So I think, Jack, you're right, that this would be covered. Now, personally, I think it should have come to the capital sub because it's close enough. 9, 10, I don't want to cut, hairs here, but you should have. Okay? No, Phil's right. Shame on you, shame on
I
me.
actually thought it was
It should
25.
have.
Thought the
Technically
threshold was
it's 25, but 10 grand's enough money.
But again, no disrespect to anybody sitting in front of me. Our budget is shoestring, and I don't care what you people have to say. We try to maintain the fields, fertilize and everything. We are
Paul, with all
skin
due
bones
respect,
here.
that has nothing to do with this article.
I know, but I'm just saying it. Don't
Okay,
take it from our budget.
No, this is not something that should come out of your budget. This is a
Understood.
new.
Yep,
Understood.
yep, I know, I'm getting
I would not have believed that this was a capital expenditure article by reading it, and it was not until this discussion came up that it became apparent that it is a capital appropriation item. The wording of the article does not give me that kind of direction whatsoever. If it is in fact a new capital expenditure article, then I suggest you make darn sure that you make it clear on the floor at the town meeting, if we vote in support of it, to emphasize, to clarify this wording, that it is a black and white capital expenditure to handle additional wiring and equipment at the Draper Park, period.
That's a good point, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to compliment Jerry in bringing this out. However, if we can just look at it as a one-time article, it's not going to come back on an annual basis, and I think we mixed this up a little, okay? And it's for the betterment of the town. It's going to be a showcase. It's only $9,000, and I feel we should go forward with the article. Nothing against you, Jerry.
I don't take it personally at all. I'm just following what we've done in
Does
the
anyone else
past
have
for
any
20
other
years.
discussion?
And I looked at this kind of like Mr. Nicholson did. The way I originally thought it was, and in fact, I use this as an example, that it was an upgrade to the system. Okay, and I looked at it like, well, it's like everything else that's going on in the world of the electrical systems, National Grid, et cetera. We're going to take the incandescent bulbs out and put in LEDs. Okay, this one cost $1, this one cost $9. And that's what this was. This was an upgrade, a repair to accommodate Christmas lights. So,
Right.
I'm not, it's just, let's decide what procedure we're going to use and what threshold
I
we're
have a
going to use.
motion and a second for a favorable recommendation. Looks like all the conversation's done. All those in favor of a favorable recommendation on Article 24? You down, Jerry?
No,
He's a
I'm
no,
not,
and
I'm
one
not in
opposed.
favor at all. Not just because, just the way.
25.
Article 25.
Joe, is this the 60 that we've had budgeted for 3 years in the capital? Because we had a $60,000 line item in the capital plan, Pheno Field, for this year.
9. Oh, sorry. Article 25 we're on, right? Yeah,
Yep.
the 60,
I'm
all right.
sorry, isn't it
I was
the
still
60?
thinking 9.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Okay, so this has been in front of the capital committee for 4 years and been on the plan for 4 years, just to set the stage.
Can I just let him tell him what the article is?
Oh.
And then you can do. Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, Article 25 looks to request $60,000 for a feasibility study for the Pheno Field Pool. This feasibility study will establish basic pool needs, identify and describing existing conditions, and provide options for renovating, expanding, or replacing the pool.
Bobby?
Now, I recall that I think Representative Murray indicated that we had secured the number, I think it was $50,000 for the town to perform this activity. And I'm wondering, is this in addition to the 50? Is the 50 included in the 60?
Bobby, if, no, the assumption we were under is that any gazinta does not offset, it's not 60 plus 50 plus. This is $60,000 of our money, and if we get 50 from the state, it nets to us at 10, but they still have to come forward and make the case for spending 60, whether we got 10,000 or 50,000. Is that not correct?
So, we don't know if we're gonna, so, go ahead.
Paul.
So let's, I'm gonna teal back a little bit. We had monies for Pheno Field upgrades that were approved, and it took 2 years for them to arrive here because of budget. The governor has anything to do. So, yes, if we get the 50, just like Al said, it's gonna cost 10,000 out of the budget.
Net.
Net. So, it's not 50 plus 60.
Well, we don't want to wait 2 years for
We
the
can't-
state's money.
We can't wait 2 years. Right, if we
So-
get 50, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but wait a minute, let's be clear. You're proposing to spend 60.
That's it.
Correct.
Period. If we
Done.
get 50, the 50 goes to the general fund.
That's right.
And out of our taxpayer pocket, it feels like a net 10, whether it's this year or next year, you don't get any more money.
Yeah.
We don't get any more money.
Correct.
So, but that's.
No, Bobby, great
No, it
question.
is a good point, but the point is we can't wait 2 years to do this study, and in order for us, if we gave them 10, they'd wait 2 years till they got their 50 in
If
order
we
to be
did,
able to do the
even if we
study.
did.
If we
If you
get it.
did.
Right now, it was, Mr. Murray did a great job I would say, let's say, securing the money. But the money has not been released yet, and the governor can still veto that, especially now with November coming up, midterm elections. It has been approved, but he still has the veto power to, yeah. And again, like Mr. Correa said, when that comes up, the park commissioners do not object to that 50 going into the general fund, and it's just the net 10.
Yeah, it doesn't go to parks anyway.
Yeah, it does,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to parks anyway.
We appreciate you giving it back, but we had it anyway.
Listen, I'm here to give. You give, I give.
Joe, you sound like my daughter giving me back the money that she
Give
took
it
out of
back
my
your
wallet.
allowance. Yeah.
I have one at home myself.
Yeah. Mike?
So is this study only going to look at the pool, or is it going to look at it as a recreational facility and perhaps look at alternatives like a splash park, maybe going to Pheno?
It's actually looking at all alternatives.
All alternatives.
Because you have to look at it in a quick synopsis from the initial discussion, because of where Pheno Field is against the Charles River and all that. I mean, you're talking a $5 or $6 million just off the cuff project.
So this doesn't commit us to a pool necessarily?
It does not commit us to a pool. It gives us the options.
It's gonna give us an idea of what we,
What our.
And I'm telling you, if you came in and asked me for $6 million, I'd tell you to go get a study, so I'm glad you're doing a study, so it's exactly what you should do.
It's the only right thing to do for the town of Milford.
Absolutely,
So that's
Bobby.
true.
What's the time frame on this? When do you expect the deliverable? If this is approved?
February, they said.
February?
Yeah.
Motion by Jack for a favorable recommendation on Article 25 in the amount of $60,000. Second by Al. All those in favor? Unanimous. 26.
Article 26 looks to request $34,000 to purchase a new riding lawnmower and associated trailer. This new mower, which is it's a Hustler brand, I think
It's
it's
a
called?
Hustler 104. I do have
Okay.
a copy of the specs with me, if anybody cares to see it.
Yeah.
It's it mows 104 inches at a time. It's a triple deck.
It has mulching capabilities. This greatly enhances both labor efficiency and quality of maintenance. This mower will be replacing a 2003 model mower with a 48-inch deck. That doesn't have
Two
mulching
things.
capabilities.
You guys are slipping because we actually have been budgeting 35, so that's good.
Well, listen,
But-
we added the trailer and everything else, and,
Do we have our 5 questions that you know we're going to ask?
Mr.
Joe, the one thing I would ask
Just let Al finish.
is that the 5 questions we always ask of every capital, we never finished it on this. I would like you, I'll email them to you again, but I'd like to have those answered so that we can put it up on the town meeting, background, so that all town meeting members can look at it.
Okay.
Okay, so if you'll
So
commit
you'll
to that,
email them
that'll-
to me, I don't have to take
I'll
notes?
email them to you first thing in the morning.
Okay.
I'm not
Aldo?
good at taking notes.
Joe, you mentioned labor efficiency, correct?
Correct.
This piece of equipment. Does that mean you're not gonna need as many people as you have?
We may not,
I'm not.
we may not have to ask for as many people later,
Later. When is
in the future.
And when is later?
We don't know.
Well, that's my point. Didn't we just get a new mower last year or the year before?
No, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, yes.
4 years ago. And this mower, just to give you a heads up, Plains Park takes us approximately 2.5 days to mow. This mower can do it in about a little bit over a day.
I'm not referring to the spaces that you have to maintain. But I'm intrigued by the labor efficiency, because that generally tells me you're gonna get more for what you're putting in. Let's just leave it at that.
Did you guys
Okay.
get incremental headcount last year? Is that,
Incremental what?
did you guys get incremental headcount last year?
We did.
Yes.
Okay, so this could help, but you asked for 2. So I'm
You gave us one, right?
But you got 1, so I'm hoping this alleviates some of that pressure. that you
That's
have.
exactly what Joe just said.
Rolled out one,
Absolutely.
so
Chairman?
This can make up for that extra one.
Mike?
If I heard correctly, you said you were replacing a 48-inch unit with a 104-inch unit here?
Correct.
I would guess that would cut down on the, small area versatility of whatever this 48-inch one was doing. You can't do it with the 104-inch now. Does this put more burden on some other equipment?
No, within our budget this year, we actually purchased a 36-inch, what they call a stander mower, which a gentleman just stands on it. So the smaller areas now, if anybody watches Draper, all the smaller parks, this mower is doing spectacular, and we've already addressed the smaller areas, and we bought it within our budget without coming to you. I think it was a $6,000 or $7,000 purchase, and that mower has been doing spectacular. So, I mean, with Mike's help, I mean, we have tried to get with the times per se, because, you have those big mowers, can't get in these small parks, draping this and that, it's just too many hills and it's cumbersome. So we are trying to address that. This mower right here will address our high schools, will address our Plains, will address our Tomasos, will address all the big areas we have in town that we've been trying to maintain efficiently, and we just haven't been able to. All of our mowers now are moving to mulching systems, which we're trying to eliminate bagging systems. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
So that in itself makes us more efficient to begin with, so we're not dumping, having to pick up, bring to the town, all that. So if we mow it more often, we don't have to bag it. So that is where we're headed. I mean, we have a good vision of where we need to go, so. And it's replacing, our mowers are beat up. I mean, they mow a lot of grass.
Thank you.
Any others?
How many fields do you plant? Do you track in,
212 acres, right?
how many are there fields? Are there service guys?
It's over 200, well over 200 acres that we cut.
Okay, now how many fields are there?
Oh,
That's a good question.
off the top of my head, I'm at a loss. I do know the answer, but
I haven't heard no.
I could count them out for you.
We'll get that for you, Jack.
Al, did the capital committee have a recommendation on the article?
Yes, this is the one that I said was in the budget. So it has been in our budget for 2 or 3 years. They actually came in $1,000 less. That's why I thought Mr. Arcudi would made a mistake.
Make a motion by Andy for a favorable recommendation on Article 26, second by Aldo. Any other discussion? All those in favor for a favorable recommendation on Article 26? Unanimous. 2-7.
Okay, Article 27 looks to request $43 million to purchase a new... 43,000, sorry. I wanted to see if you were awake,
Yeah.
Aldo.
Yeah. We all heard it.
He was right on it. $43,000 to purchase a new pickup truck. This new pickup truck will be replacing a 2001 model truck. It will be an F-350 4x4 with a plow and a plow package, so it can be used in the winter for snow and ice removal. Right now, it's going to be replacing a 2001 truck that we have with no plowing capabilities at all. And it is, I would say it's on its last leg, it's probably past its last leg.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Joe, I'm assuming it'll be under the Parks Department's jurisdiction,
Correct.
the use of the vehicle. Now, you say to plow snow, are you, do I get the sense that you're gonna work in conjunction with the highway department?
As we do every winter. Yeah,
All of our vehicles do.
yep. It actually gives the highway department
Another vehicle.
another vehicle that they don't have right now.
They don't have to subcontract.
Yeah, exactly.
Alberto?
What happened? This was budgeted for next year, and we never heard one word of moving it forward. Why now, out of the blue?
Because, as Joe said, the truck we have right now cannot pass inspection. The fenders are rusted, the floor is rusted.
And that
it's a
just
2001, and that 2001 was a pass-me-down from the Milford Sewer Department.
Oh, that just happened in the last week?
No, we've been
No, this was
We've been
discussed
discussing for a
back in
while
the
about
spring.
this.
With all due respect, the last update the capital committee got was this was for the next year, and we never...
I don't agree with that. I was
Okay,
part of
well,
that.
this time,
You're right.
I have the minutes from
You're
our
right.
last meeting, and I have every single budget. This was in the 2020 year, not the 2019. I'm not saying you don't need it,
Yep.
but I would have appreciated a heads up saying something has changed, and we ought to move it forward a year. Okay?
Again, that's no knowledge to what you're saying right now. In all of our meeting discussions, this has just been an ongoing
No, I'm just,
item with us. So.
every time we change the capital plan, I send out a note.
Yep.
And I'm looking back
I get it.
for 2.5 years. This was always set up for fall 2019.
You're right, Mr. Correa.
And
You're right on the money.
I'm not saying
That was-
it's wrong,
that was
but just
discussed-
please in the
that was-
future.
This was discussed at the meeting that they declared null and void.
It was also discussed at that meeting that we did move some stuff that was in 2019.
don't have the authority to-
out,
Well, I have a question
and
for you on the
they come back, so-
Rosenfeld lights after, but that's
Yeah.
different.
But,
No problem.
you know, we had the pool renovations in there for $400,000, which got moved
Okay.
out too.
It was, Mr. Chairman,
Any other questions on this article, Jerry?
let's set the facts straight. This was on the capital plan for next year.
Yes.
It was my recommendation during the meeting that they declared null and void, that they move it ahead. Because the state of affairs, the truck that they're driving around town was kind of like almost a disgrace. It has big dents in it, and it's in such a state of repair that I thought it would be a good idea to move it ahead. So let's make sure we know how this came about. Okay, and I thought, well, at least if nothing else, we could get rid of a piece of junk, as I call it. It's been that way for at least 3 to 5 years, and it hasn't been taken care of for 5 years, and get a multi-purpose vehicle that we can use throughout the town. Now remember, these trucks don't belong to the Parks Department. They belong to the town of Milford, and they're there to be utilized throughout the town when the need arises. Thank you.
Okay.
And I concur, Mr. Hyde is
Yep.
correct.
Any other discussion on this? Any motion? Motion by Jack for a
I have a-
favorable...
I have a minor question. You said this truck includes the plow? Or just the plow, 4x4 with,
Plow and plow package.
No,
doesn't include the plow?
just a plow package.
Oh, plow
Scott
package,
puts it
right.
on at his expense.
Yeah, so
My
the truck
mistake.
is a 350 with a 4x4 plow ready,
Plow ready.
but the plow is not included in the
No,
price.
Scott always puts it on within
Because
his
the
budget.
plow for that truck is at least 4,000, maybe as much as $6 grand for that kind of truck. 'Cause that's-
Every truck that the Parks Department has ever
I-
purchased.
I've had this discussion with Scott, and his goal was to get every truck on the road a 4x4 with plow package. Get rid of all the two-wheel drive trucks in the town. And so this moves forward that plan. But I think Mr. Arcudi mistakenly said this included
He
a plow.
did. It
And
does
I don't
not
think you're
include
going to
plow.
buy a fifth
The specs
350
that we have
with a
in the
plow
package
for
that you have.
less than
does not have a
$50,000.
plow.
So.
I stand corrected.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Item,
I'd just like to check with the capital committee to see if they're in support of moving this forward 1 year, or is there a serious objection?
well, to be honest with you, you don't have, I mean, you have Al, but there are other members
Al,
on the committee
I'm
too,
sorry.
so,
Al?
you know.
Who's on the committee?
Al, Mike Schiavi.
Joyce.
Joyce, and Bobby DeVita, and Jeff Nero.
If I may, Rosenfeld lights are off the table.
100%.
Yes.
Yep, I got you.
That balances, because we had 150,000 budgeted for Rosenfeld lights during this fiscal year. So moving 150 out is okay to move 43 in.
Thank you.
Why are the lights off the table?
DNF Builders have proposed the condo complex at the end of South Central and all that. They went before the planning board, and the planning board accepted their Parks and Recreation upgrade as Rosie. So they are doing fence, lights, they're doing everything, so the town is off the hook. Dominic's gonna do it all.
Aldo?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Before we close out on this article, I presume, it's gonna come off the state bid list. I presume you're gonna go out and pick up this truck. How soon do you think it's going to be ready? Will it be ready before this coming winter?
It should be, again, the one thing that we're pressing forward as commissioners is to just give a little, I want to say class to the Parks Department. I'll have the same colored trucks, not everything that we beg, borrow, and steal from the sewer department, all that. So as long as they have a forest green vehicle ready and the article passes on October 14th, we are going to order it immediately. That usually takes 8 weeks.
All right, my point is that if, as Jerry's pointed out, if this is not gonna have a plow with it, is it gonna have the spreader? You're talking about ice removal, sanders, I'm sure you're gonna have some sort of a sanding equipment on the back of this vehicle.
This truck comes stock. What Scott adds to it is up to Scott. It has nothing to do with us.
Why are we appropriating $43,000? And Jerry's been in that business, so I have to assume your numbers are reasonable.
6,000 for that plow, new, maybe 8.
Are we gonna come back? We're not, if we can't put it in the plow and get it out for the winter, where are we gonna get the other 6,000 for the plow or the sand or whatever?
I understand the ordering process, and I understand what's going on here. I'm not trying to buy a plow, I'm not saying don't buy a plow. What Paul is saying is Scotty has plows at the highway department that will fit on this truck.
That's exactly what it is. And to be honest with you, Scotty uses his Chapter 90 money. If instead of he wants to outsource or he wants to put a plow on this, that's Scotty's issue.
Aldo, the other good thing about this is we get away from this two-wheel drive pickup truck nonsense that we have.
Yep.
And now we have a multi-purpose vehicle that we can plow with, we can put heavy loads in the back of, and we can pull trailers around town.
Been there and done that,
All right.
believe me.
I had who were my motions from?
Jack.
Motion by Jack, second by Mike for a favorable recommendation on Article 27. All those, any other discussion? All those in favor for a favorable recommendation? Unanimous.
Joe, I'm gonna need I'll send it to you, 5 questions in the specs to put up for this too.
No problem.
I have the
Yep.
specs.
Yep.
Yeah,
The trail specs.
I would just recommend working closely with the capital committee. It sounds like there was some miscommunication
Yep.
with the truck, and also working closely with the subcommittee.
Yep. I definitely think, I think we definitely all, everybody needs to work on our communication, especially with capital, because it is a long-term thing. Nothing should ever happen with capital in weeks. It's years. So something like a truck. And not only to us, but also you should be letting Rick know, because I know that the finance department also does tracking capital as well. They have their own process for capital as well. So unfortunately, you're going to let Al know, and then you need to let Rick know about capital purchases, because they have their own schedule for capital expenditures as well. So,
Very good.
all right.
Thank you.
Great. All right, guys, thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, Chief, we're running a little late, sorry.
I'll make up the gap for you.
I'm hoping. I gave you 15 minutes, so.
I only need a couple.
All right, Chief, we have you for Article 18.
And we were initially going to put in for, on the 20-year plan, we're scheduled to buy an engine, order an engine this year, it'll be delivered next year. Myself and the deputy doing some research on the condition of our present vehicles, mileage, engine hours and such, have decided to withdraw, pass over the article. We can get another year out of what we have before we have to order an engine.
So you're gonna pass it over? Is that gonna mess up your 6 years?
Leave it alone. Let's not
The
kill it.
the 6-year plan has been steady all along. Back in 2002, we had a truck condemned that threw us out of sequence. So we're gonna be out of sequence either way. But we have, as a result of that happening, in our 6-year program, the truck that we bought, as a result of the one being condemned, kind of got fast-tracked into a reserve piece. So we've got a quality truck there that's old. It's a 2001, but it's got short mileage and short engine hours, and the thing purrs like a kitten. So we think we'd like to sink a little money into it from within my budget presently to upgrade the lighting and things and run that as a frontline piece.
Couple things, Chief, before I open it up. First of all, if I had known that, I wouldn't have made you come in tonight.
That's why I questioned you on the email, because I said.
Well, you said you sent the email, do you still want me to come in? But I didn't know that that was the reason that you were passing over.
Well, I sent you an email the day before.
Oh, I didn't get
That's
that
okay.
one. I apologize. I certainly would
all right.
not have made you come in.
That's
Wow.
all right.
No worries.
So that's number one, which is my apology to you. Secondly, though, that really is a game changer for us. When did you guys come up with, you were pulling this off?
This weekend,
Okay.
this past weekend. That's why I sent you I sent the email, I
Yep.
think it was Monday.
Oh, yeah, and I
Just letting you know that our intentions, we had decided to pass over it,
okay.
that we can, that we're okay with what we have.
Because you were like 40% of our capital budget for this year, so.
I'm sorry. Well, you're always asking me to,
No,
can
I
push it
once
back
again,
a year? This time I can, you know?
No, sir, I'm thrilled, Chief, but it just, yeah, it's okay. Just a lot for me I'm processing right now. Okay. Al,
Chief, so we'll get together for the whole plan
Yeah.
update, but I'm assuming then that the engine one goes for next year?
Correct.
Right now, as well as the scuba, or whatever you call those things?
SCBA bottles, correct.
SCBA.
That's mandatory, we have to
Well,
do
but I'm just
that.
saying, I'm not questioning.
Right, yep.
But then next year I would have engine one, scuba, and a staff vehicle.
Correct,
And that's it.
correct.
Then I'm fine.
We're just taking the engine and sliding it back a year.
I like it.
Super.
you know,
Okay. And the
You're done.
rescue truck that we just took possession of today, the new one just came in, has a plow prep package, so when I'm done with it, Scott can have it. It's all set, ready to go.
ladder one sold yet?
Ladder one was traded in, that's gone.
It's gone?
Yep.
Thank you.
You only have one ladder truck.
I
Now,
can't take
is the
Thank
new
you.
ladder truck all hunky-dunky
It is.
set, and you
It
don't
is.
have to put any money into it, or?
Nope, and the
I
new
like that
rescue
it's
truck
better.
will be in service in probably about a week or two.
Well, no, I just didn't know if you had to buy, widgets and digits, or,
Already done.
yay.
Thank you very much, Chief. I'm sorry I missed that email.
That's
I
okay.
got the one where you said you still want me to come in, I was like, yeah.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Chief.
We're gonna discuss this more in subcommittee meeting, I hope. Yep. And that's what I hope comes up.
No problem. Have a good night.
Made it worse next year. All right, library. We're back on schedule. All right, guys. We have the library in for Article 32. I know Mike had given us a really good update on this article last week at our meeting. This is for the stairs over at the library.
Hello, everybody. What has happened is that we had to readjust the long-range plan because we've been working on the stair replacement. The front stairs have been there since the beginning of the building, 1986, and everything's starting to deteriorate. We've been doing patches over the years, but naturally the snow and the ice has really gotten to the point where the concrete doesn't adhere anymore, and we're starting to see the rebar show, and these are concrete steps. So what we did is that we did a little adjustment. Initially, for this year, we're supposed to do carpeting and some archival shelving for the local history room, and we finally had a chance to talk to Matt Marcotte, who is the building inspector, and he finally came over and he gave me an email saying, you need to get this done within the year. So we shifted and we pushed a few things back, so we're requesting $30,000 to take care of the stairs. So far, we've got 2 quotes, one for concrete and one for granite. Right now, granite is potentially $14,000 and concrete is around $7,000. And we've asked for a few other people to give us quotes, but we haven't gotten anything back yet. And we figure we can give whatever we don't use back. Also, we got to take a little care of ADA and see if we have to do anything in there too. And I contacted the Disabilities Commission to see if they can help us out, and Marcotte will also help us out. Matt. I keep saying Mark, but Matt.
There is a Mark, that's why.
Yeah.
Yes, Alan.
7 for concrete, 14
For granite.
life expectancy of the concrete.
Well,
I've seen that.
well, the concrete there's lasted 34 years, so I'd say close to 30 years.
Life expectancy for the granite could be the next time we have a volcano.
Right.
Correct.
Very low, yes.
It looks nice.
But we wanted options.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Some of your pictures obviously indicated that the rebar was rusting and everything else. When this is, assuming we go with concrete, somebody's going to clerk this review, making sure that the rebar is placed
Oh,
where
yeah.
it needs to be placed so that we don't get this falling and earlier than we need to.
Well, they have to be inspected by Matt anyway, so also plus our maintenance
Once
people.
you cover it, you can't expect much.
No, but we'll make sure that the right process.
I'm just
Yeah.
talking because if you said which one should we do, I'd tell you to do the granite.
Okay.
And the granite was going to be there. So I don't have to worry about it. But you guys make the pick.
Yeah, we've asked several vendors, and unfortunately, it's been a slow process getting the quotes back.
Are you still seeking 30?
Well, we did that just in case if we get underneath there, there's something else that we have to address. So we'd like to keep it at 30. Initially, for this year, it was supposed to be 35, so we're saving already $5,000.
Saving.
Saving?
Well, no,
Asking for less.
Yeah, the carpeting was going to cost us more, plus the archival shelving, so.
As a librarian, that's a bad use of the thesaurus, saving, because it's not really saving.
Yeah, and candidly, we don't get to do that.
Okay.
We don't get to say we were thinking about, because we had 2.3 million in a $1.5 million budget.
All right, guys, any other questions, Bobby?
Who chairs the subcommittee for library?
Mike?
Mike, my preference, spend the extra $7,000 and go with the granite.
I'm sorry?
My recommendation to you as an individual is spend the additional $7,000 and go with the granite option.
We had a subcommittee meeting with the library the night before our last group meeting, and the subcommittee voted to support the article as written with emphasis on the granite steps. We think we're following the lead of town hall, of the police station, of every facility around town that relies on steps where people are going up and down all day long. And as you can see with these concrete steps, they've been fighting with this, trying to keep it going. It's been pointed out that you go through one freeze-thaw cycle very likely it's going to weaken, it's going to come out, and it's right in the middle of everything. The time has just come where they've been passed and passed and passed.
Yeah,
Can't do
it's-
anything. Now, the 30,000...
He's upselling you, actually.
The 30,000 amount, I believe, is very reasonable because, number one, what is not spent can come back in. And we're not talking about huge amounts in terms of coming back in the general budget. But if you use the approximate 14,000 for the granite steps, an allocation for some ADA hardware, like the railings and all, that had to be added here at the town hall and police station. Whoever does install those steps has to understand ADA requirements for step overhang and all, but that doesn't cost extra money. I believe the most ADA requirements are going to be handrails and such like that, which could fit in between
No,
the
Mike, and I don't
14.
have any issue with the 30 either, because I know it will drop down. It's just my only question was, I know you put in the 30 before you get the quotes, and now the quotes obviously are considerably lower. So if you leave it at the 30, I have no issue either, because I know it's going to fall down anyway.
I
So
just wanted to cover what I thought potentially it would take.
no problem.
That's all.
Uh,
30,000.
Just let me get it to conversation. Motion by Bobby for a favorable recommendation, second by Chuck. Is there any other discussion?
Yes.
Alberto?
I do have a fundamental problem. I want to support it, but coming up with 30 before we know, and I'm seeing 21, and it just doesn't feel right. This is real money. You know what I mean? Well, I know you get it back, but then everybody else is going to come back with 50. I'll put in 70, right? I'm sorry. We really should come closer. You know, contingency, I mean, Aldo, did you have a 50% contingency on Woodland? I don't think so. You know, 5%, 10%. Just fundamentally, I have a problem with, let's do 30, but we don't know if we're going to do 20. This ought to be vetted fully. Now, if it's an emergency, then we ought to have gotten a phone call.
Well, I think what happened is that we tried to do everything with due diligence, and it got down to the wire with the article, and we finally got the people in place that could help us out. And I made the decision that would be a decent number in case we had issues and how much it would.
So it's 14 plus 7? Is that what we're really expecting?
No, 14 total.
14 or
14
7.
or 7.
Plus
So
the other-
14,000 is the total, and you're comfortable that it'll come in the way we need it at 14?
For just the steps.
For just the steps.
the
It doesn't
steps.
include making it ADA compliant. That's the,
Okay.
that's
How
the
much
piece
is
we don't know.
ADA compliant?
Could double it.
We haven't gotten a report back.
You could double it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
See, there's where, I'm sorry, it goes against my grain to sit there and say, you could double it.
Well, depending on what kind of if you do the railings like we're done
But
here.
Jerry, that's not my point. My point is, to come in, I mean, the fire chief came in and said it's 600,000, you could double it depending on the fire truck. I mean, 50% is a huge contingency, guys.
So what do you want? If they find out between now and town meeting, you can change it on town meeting floor and lower it to 25,000 if they know.
I don't even need
But
to
if we
lower
don't,
it.
if we
I just
don't
wanna know
know,
what we're buying.
if we don't know, we can't wait till the annual town meeting to fund this thing. We need to fund it this time around, and these people have been very, very good to us with making sure that due diligence of spending the money as it was proposed. So if there's 5,000 left over, you're going to get the 5,000 back when the project's done, correct?
Correct.
I have
The
no
library
doubt.
actually found themselves caught between an emergency allocation and a capital expenditure. They called in the building commissioner for his opinion.
Mike, no offense, you made your case, and I don't think Al is questioning the need for the steps. I think he's questioning about the amount being asked for. So that's really, I don't mean to cut you off,
Taking their
but,
best shot
yeah.
because they're trapped between emergency and capital.
Let's say we give them 15. Motion for 15, favorable. And they go get an ADA report, and it says it's going to take an additional 5. So where are we going to get the additional 5 to finish the project correctly? I think they're doing it with the unknown at this point in time. And we're all in this a little bit cushion. We just got to make a little discretionary, judicious judgment here that it may be a little more than 14,000.
I think it's a little excessive, the buffer, but I don't think it's anything that I'm going to get hung up about.
We're going to support it.
Yeah.
But I just candidly, that's not, 50% cushion tells me we're not ready, but we will do it.
Totally understand where you're coming from, but like the subcommittee said, it was a bunch of deadlines and queuing people up to
And the
help
only
out,
other
so I
thing,
totally agree with you.
please, if you see something like this, the steps, I don't think they cracked or came apart. We should have been talking about, hey, this may be an issue, and we never, ever brought it up. Because if we thought maybe it would be an issue in the next 2 or 3 years, like, we got servers on there, 13,000, and we've been saying somewhere in the next 2 or 3 years we have to do it. This should have been something we discussed, saying it could be a problem. That's all.
Up and down, sir.
No, I was just gonna say, when they redid the town hall steps here, and they made them, the nice granite, sometimes once you open that up, it's a can.
No,
And you've gotta shore up the
once again, we're arguing about different things. It just was, I think the only thing Al was, when I say we, Al was arguing the contingency.
That could cost
All right, sure.
10,000, making sure you've got a strong
Yeah,
foundation.
thank
Totally
you.
understood.
That's- Motion by Bob, second by Chuck for a favorable recommendation on Article 32. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, guys.
Very shortly, we need to talk about the capital plan you put in, because it doesn't align anymore.
I gave you the 5
Right.
questions.
No, that's fine for
Oh, yeah.
this. I'm just saying, your next couple years,
Yeah,
there's stuff in there
we've
that,
started working on it again.
yeah, we
to
gotta work on it,
realign
because
Yep.
that doesn't align with the money we have.
Correct.
No, and we gave you the most recent one as well,
I'm
so.
all set with the 5 questions, the
Yep.
material for Paul to put up for town meeting members. Sue, you did a great job. It's exactly what we need. But I'm just saying, going forward, we need to look at that.
No
Definitely.
problem.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Yep.
Ricky, you want to jump in? Try to get you out of here, too.
Good evening. Does anybody know any, yeah, oh man, now, here we go. This is really.
I can do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving up to Board of Selectmen. I want to see if I can get Rick out of here. As you'll notice, I do have a lot of the Board of Selectmen articles on there. I wasn't sure what Rick is going to want to cover today. So to be honest with you, we may not be doing all of these. He may do them all, but just so that everybody knows. All right, any order you want, sir.
Okay, why don't we just go right in order? Article 2 is to implement a records management system, seeking an appropriation of $60,000. Again, this was not on the capital plan, I will tell you that up front. This is something that has come together very recently. I had a couple of department heads come to me and ask if we could look into this, and we began to do that. The need we're addressing is that we have no formal records retention plan in place. We have no index, no cross-reference system, no destruction program, no destruction of records. And quite frankly, if you've been at Town Hall, we're out of space. Simple as that. Again, this has the full support of all department heads. Proposal to address it is to implement a comprehensive record retention system, be a complete inventory, complete indexing, be a computerized system, and more importantly, also, we would be destroying a good deal of records, obviously with state approval. We'd also be able to microfilm a number of records that is permissible. Certain records, you can do that, and it would satisfy if we had to fulfill a records request down the road. And the beauty of this also, we can put all our records retention on site, so there'd be no need to go off-site to store or anything like that. The Selectmen did authorize a comprehensive record survey. It was done by King Information Systems. I believe the report itself was uploaded to your drive, so you should have that. The alternatives, I don't know if there are any, other than to go off-site, spend more money for storage, keep collecting records. Again, the steps we took, we did the survey, we have a comprehensive report, we have recommendations, and we have costs associated with those recommendations. The quote was approximately $56,000. Because that is the quote, we will go out for an RFP, so it won't be this company, could be this company, but we will certainly have to go out for requests for proposals. I did contact a number of other towns to see how they liked implementing such a system. Talked to the tax collector treasurer in Dedham, highly recommended the system, thought it was an awesome setup for them. Town tax collector in Situate, very pleased, highly recommended. Also the towns of Norwood and Rentham. One of them said it was the best money they ever spent. Unfortunately, it has gathered over the years. If you come into my office, if you go into the inspection office, if you go into benefits, assessors, clerks, on down the line, we have boxes just piled. And the survey did show us that we can get rid of, they're estimating in the neighborhood of 30% of these records. What we will then do is get everything organized the way it should be, and then we will go year to year and stay on top of it. So again, not on the plan, I apologize for that, but I think it's something that if we don't do it now, it's just going to get worse. And I think this is the time to do it. This is the time to implement such a system. And, I'm sorry? Well, if you've been to Town Hall, we have what they call the cage downstairs. If you've ever been in that cage, look out. A lot of the records are stored there. A lot of records are now stored in individual offices. We have records stored behind us at Town Hall. So now they will be indexed, categorized, and stored in that cage room downstairs. And then a lot of them will be destroyed, a lot of them will be on microfilm.
Will there be an electronic version as well, so you can search the database?
What'll happen if someone made a records request or I had to go look for records, we'd be able to do it on the computer, and that would tell us where we need to go to get that record in box such and such, folder such and such.
Mike?
Oops, sorry.
The survey that was conducted gives
Yes.
a fixed amount, $60,000, I believe.
A little less than that.
And it says specifically in the survey that all records are stored at Town Hall, albeit in various locations.
Correct.
I've been previously a member of a particular commission for over 20 years at one time, and during those various times, I was secretary off and on. And the records from that commission that during my period are at my house.
Okay.
And I have
It shouldn't
to-
be, but.
Well, when this whole subject started coming up about records retention, I posed a question about, what about the records from this particular commission? And they said, we don't have any room in Town Hall. The implication was, well, you just kind of take care of it. The point I'm making is, the survey said $60,000, and it said all records that this $60,000 is based on are at Town Hall.
Correct.
I cannot believe that this particular commission that I was responsible for the records on is the only one that has records off-site.
Okay.
And that's going to be a whole new can of worms that's going to go beyond $60,000 if, in fact, the presence of those files are acknowledged.
Okay. Okay.
And I know Rick said it during his commentary, but I just want everyone to know that the information for this is on the drive, so if anyone wants to look at it.
You know it's coming.
I think he's heard it 4 times already.
You know it's coming. $60,000, all of a sudden, let's do it now. Got a problem. Number one, why we didn't plan it. Number two, is there going to be a records retention policy?
Absolutely.
Because I have a problem knowing that there's stuff squirreled away. Okay, are we addressing going back and finding all the data that people have squirreled away and bringing it in? Because I'd hate to see us digitize everything and find out that Mike moved to Bermuda and all the records are in Bermuda or got left in a house. You see what I'm saying?
I'll go get him.
Part of the reason I like planning is that it gives a chance for people to ask silly questions like, is this all the records? Are these all the records?
These will be all the records at Town Hall. We could expand and obviously look at those records too.
Well, no, but the point is, I'd like to know, are there other citizens thinking they're doing the right thing? But Mike, you get hit by a bus tomorrow, I don't know that we'd know how to get your records.
If you get into my attic.
Yeah, great. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I didn't know he had those
You gotta
records.
get better at a little bit more planning, because $60,000,
Chris?
I think it's a great idea, but we ought to plan better and give the community a chance, because there's a lot of people involved in the electronic medical records, like Uncle Phil, you know, and others, that could help get, leverage our talent.
Jerry.
When I received the email, this falls under general government. Being the chairman of general government, I contacted Paul. I says, where has this been? Where's it been vetted? What other towns? I have the email here that I sent to Paul. And Paul very appropriately says, not me. And he forwarded it to Mr. Villani appropriately. And Mr. Villani reached out, and I met with Mr. Villani on Monday at 2 o'clock. We spent a good half hour, 45 minutes in your office. What he didn't know is I went and surveyed the town before I met with him and talked to a few of the department heads and how this came about. This problem has been coming about for long before Mr. Volante's tenure here. I think it's been piling up on shelves everywhere I go. And the department heads have been saying, we don't have any place to put this stuff. And lo and behold, I went into the assessor's office. I knew what was in the clerk's office. I went downstairs to the building commissioner's office. And, just stuff's just piled up. It's not a good situation, and let's not crucify anybody over the sins of the past. Let's fix it and move on. I was equally upset. You and I had this discussion. I said the toughest part about this discussion tonight is going to be overcoming why wasn't it brought to our attention earlier. Okay?
Again,
And I concur.
wasn't
And I
really-
concur with
That's a
you.
theme
Wasn't
tonight.
really
That's
developed
a theme.
until June, when we saw that this is something we want to implement.
The
That's
report
number
is
one.
dated May of this year.
Number
And
two, the
and my
selectmen had to
concern is
review and review
I would have
it,
liked to
so,
have had it in
again.
May, and then I could have passed it on.
Yeah.
But there's another two parts to this. Number one, this will address the problem as we see it today. And I'm hoping that it'll improve the whole atmosphere in Town Hall, get rid of some of this, do it correctly, okay? The other problem is this needs budget or document archiving needs to be a budget item.
Correct.
So we actually need to put a number in here and do something systematically on an annual basis in the budget. I don't know whether it's going to be 5,000 or 10,000 a year, but quite
Should be
frankly, when I
considerably
saw the
less.
number, to
What do you
do
think?
this,
Couple of thousand, but I don't know, but it would be a budgetary item going forward.
when I
So
read
as
through
we
this
wanna stay
proposal,
current.
this lady is running, it's going to be here for 68 days. That's what she proposes. 68 days is 2 people for 68 days?
It's labor intensive, pretty much, yeah.
So 68 days is the estimate, almost better part of 2.5 months. And I kept reading through it, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for 6 figures when I get to the bottom line. I'm thinking it's 100 plus. When I saw 55,000, I really just kind of went, "Phew, not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but there is a definite need. We have a responsibility to protect and take care of all these records, so.
All right, anybody else?
I'll motion favorable,
Motion favorable by
even though
Jerry.
I know it's not on the list.
Second by Mike. All those in favor for a favorable recommendation? You down?
No, I'm up.
He's up. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Source. 2.
Article 8, very simply to supplement the injured on duty to pay the medical, police and fire on section 111F. Unfortunately, we need to supplement this fund. It's pretty much depleted. We have not supplemented for, I think, 2+ years, so this isn't something we've done annually for the last 2 to 3 years. I'm sorry? 250 large. Yeah, 250,000 would be what we were looking for. Thank you.
Second.
Motion favorable by Aldo, second by Jack. All those in favor for a favorable recommendation on Article 8? Unanimous.
The next 2 articles I will discuss, they go hand in hand. As I'm sure this committee knows, the Selectmen established a downtown revitalization committee. That committee is being charged with, again, trying to revitalize the downtown business area. And what this article seeks is a grant writer consultant to provide services to the town. As I'm sure the committee also knows, we received an earmark from the state. We're going to receive $150,000 to be used to revitalize downtown. Part of it is the committee has established what they call a facade program. So this consultant / grant writer would help administer the program. They would seek grants. They would help implement the grants, help administer the grants. I believe you have what we provided from the quote, which is $30,000. Again, this is to help downtown businesses make improvements to their buildings. It'll be set up pretty much like the CDBG was several years ago. The program will have guidelines. The program will have an application process. Right now, they're being developed by the committee, town council, and myself. Again, similar to CDBG, excuse me, the property owner will be required to put money up, so have some skin in the game. There'll be a recapture type agreement, so that if they do get money and then sell very quickly, then some of that money would have to be reimbursed back to the town. The longer they go without selling the property, the less money they would have to pay back to the town. So again, this is part of that program, and the selectmen felt, as did the committee, that a consultant would be of great help. And rather than take it out of the 150, and that would be less money for various businesses.
We've been very, 30,000.
Yeah.
And as historically, whenever we've invested in grant writers, they've always paid for themselves and more, whatever project it was. So, I mean, we've always been very successful with the grant writers. I don't think we've ever had a grant writer that didn't at least make their salary back.
He's also an architect on a separate article.
That's the next
That's the
article.
next
I can
one.
take them, I don't know if you want to take them one at a time.
Yeah, we'll do them one at a time. Yep. Motion by, actually, any other discussion?
Just a concern that I have, in that in the past, this activity was handled by the town planner. I remember specifically working very closely with Martha White over the years, where she did this work for the town. And I'm trying to think back if Reno didn't do some of this also when he was town planner, and do some of this grant, right? I don't remember, because I remember Martha White recommending planting trees and everything else up and down through downtown and getting this fund. And if I recall correctly, she did the grant writing.
Yeah,
but I don't disagree.
with that particular situation, I mean,
A little
it's my
before my
opinion.
time, I know CDBG, it was done by Sue
Didn't we have
Clark.
Sue
Yeah, Sue
Trotter
Clark.
do this?
Yeah, we had
Sue
Sue
Clark,
Trotter
yes.
do
Oh,
it in
Sue
the
Clark,
end.
Yeah,
yes, I'm
yeah.
sorry. And if you remember, as part of that, they got grants.
I don't think it's a bad investment. I think it's a good idea. I think you're right, that we get a grant writer, but I just think that the whole planning piece of the puzzle is lacking. We need somebody to take charge and run this thing. And if Mr. Valani's going to do it, that's fine.
Yep.
But I'm not even sure this is enough to get this thing corrected. It's only might steer it in the right direction, and then an architect. There's a lot of work to be done.
There's a start. I'm hoping we could lead to a full-time grant writer down the road, but that's a time,
Yep.
another discussion for another time.
All right, I had a motion by Jack for a favorable recommendation. I have a second.
Yeah, I'll second.
Second by Jerry. All those in favor for a favorable recommendation on Article 9? Unanimous.
The next article is in conjunction with that. It is for an architect to assist with design guidelines for the property owners. They would give guidance on lighting, color selection, signage, because part of this is to redo signage in the individual windows of business owners and work with them, awning design, new doors, new window selection, provide schematic sketches for the facades, things of that nature. So the architect would work hand in hand. I have 15 in there. The only reason I did that is that the quote that you have in front of you talks about 5,000, talks about expenses, and then talks about some of the things they don't do. And where this is a new program, I was trying to build in a little extra money just in case. I know that's, not probably where we,
I'll move favorable for 15.
Motion favorable for 15 for
I think we
for
got a
Jerry.
great quote.
Second by, is that a question? Is there a second? All right. All right, we'll continue discussion.
Need a second?
I didn't get a second. We have a second for discussion? Second for Phil, thank you. Discussion, Bobby?
It just seems to me that you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. We don't even know what we're designing.
well, okay.
Milford Downtown Facade Program or committee, whatever, really hasn't produced anything. We don't even know what they're going to do yet. We haven't even funded it. We won't. And why can't the architect portion of it be incorporated into the grant writer? Or, I guess I would like to see something substantial. Before I hire an architect to design something, I'd like to see what the facade.
Well, maybe I wasn't clear. The program's going to work where the business owners, the property owners will file an application to say, I want to do, whether it's a facade, new doors, new windows, whatever. At that point, the architect will get involved to help that property owner, to help us design and make sure, according to the rules and guidelines that are going to be put in place. I understand what you're saying, but they're not going to be they're going to be reviewing more than designing themselves.
No, no, Bob.
Not in my 5.5 years, not that I know of.
And the Sue Trotter grant writer was for a very specific project, if I remember correctly. It was,
But within that grant, there was money for
Yeah.
architects,
Which is okay.
consultants. If you remember, they paid for themselves.
Yeah.
There was money in that for architects?
I don't, but certainly consultants were part of the grant.
There had to be.
I know there.
I mean-
Now, whether they're architects or not, I'm not gonna make that statement.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
But that wasn't for a specific grant. Sue
Not a lot of money.
Clark wrote for grants for the Heights, 2 different ones. I mean, it was.
Yeah, Church
I-
Street.
I think what Jerry's bringing up is, way back when, we did it one way, but in the last decade or so, we went to a specific grant writer.
I don't go back to way back when.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, Rick, the
Yeah.
last few years or decade,
Yeah.
we've had grant writers
Right.
that we've budgeted, and as Chris mentioned, you know, you put 30 out, we got 700 in. That wasn't a bad
Nothing wrong with that.
return.
Yeah.
I'm good with all of that, and I think it's the way to go. I'm just a little concerned that I would like to see some tangible recommendations, some milestones of success, some progress made before we hire an architect to come in and help them design whatever. I don't even.
So Bobby, how about on our next meeting, not the 26th, I had the downtown revitalization in for our
Good idea.
I
October
can
meeting.
bring the architect, the person who gave us the quote.
The article till we find out what we're gonna do and what this whole project encompasses.
The only problem with that, the earmark, when it comes in,
Yeah.
needs to be used.
Yeah.
So we can't wait.
Well, you can use it for the other article.
No, we need to do the downtown facade improvements, we need to do the doors, we need to expend that 150,000 or you
Yeah.
lose it.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to, basically June 30th, like any other earmark. Or at least these contracts, it's gonna be interesting.
it is going to be interesting. Great word, Mr. Valani.
Why do we need 2 articles? Why don't we just have one and combine them?
Either way, it's 2
I don't mean
articles,
if, I don't mind if you combine them, but it just made sense.
There's 2 articles here, so whether there should be 1 or 2.
Right.
Phil?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that downtown needs some work. And I think this is a bit of a limbo phase. You know, we have to get started somewhere. And this is short money, you know, 45,000 in total. You know, to Chris's point, grant writers have clearly worked. If you look at the town of Hudson, I know some folks up there, they initially, and they've really made a ton of progress in downtown Hudson. It's actually become a destination, which is amazing. And they went out initially and paid some $250,000 for a grant writer. And really, she did an unbelievable job. So I think it is a lead, but I think we just gotta get started.
I agree with you 100%, number one, and 2, that Hudson was one of the communities this committee did look at.
I think we have a motion on favorable, yeah,
We had a motion and a second.
and second.
Anyone discussion, Mike?
So,
Yep.
the intention of the architect is more to make sure that property owners adhere to a certain standard and look that we would like for them.
Correct, and that's gonna be part of the program to establish those.
Repercussions if a property owner doesn't adhere to those, if they go ahead and build, they get.
Well, the plans are gonna have to be submitted, reviewed by the architect, and approved. If they don't want to be part of the program, in other words, comply, then obviously they don't have to be.
They can paint
Many
their
property
building
owners
orange if
may
they
not
want
take
to.
advantage of the program anyway.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
But you don't get our money if you want to paint it orange.
Right.
But they can still keep orange, God forbid.
Well, it already is. There's an orange building on Main Street.
That pesky First Amendment lets you do what you want with your own money.
With your own money. All right, any other discussion on this, guys? All right, we had a motion and a second for a favorable recommendation on Article 10. All those in favor? Unanimous. 1 opposed, I'm sorry, Bobby. 2 opposed. And I am going to have downtown revitalization in at our October meeting. No, not the one next week, though. I'll have him do a presentation. Yeah.
That's fine, that's
Yep.
fair. Quickly, Article 14, basically, we need to fund the dispatchers' union contract. The new contract was negotiated and approved. The article seeks $45,458 to fund that contract.
Motion favorable.
Second.
Motion by Jerry, second by Mike for a favorable recommendation for Article 14. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Do we need a discussion or clarification? Does everybody understand why we do that?
Yeah, we're just,
Why is this not just part of the regular budget?
Okay, when they negotiate a contract,
They come to a finalization on the contract. Then they determine the money, and we give them the money after the fact.
It will be retro, yeah.
This was negotiated in the
This
contract.
this is extra that, when it got negotiated, we owed them an extra 45,000, so we're paying this to catch it up.
It's to fund the contract.
Andy, the idea is we don't want to broadcast that we're willing to pay up to 50 or 100
So we
before
fund-
they
We don't
negotiate.
fund it up front during the negotiation.
Yeah.
But there's also another caveat most people don't realize. The town meeting still has the option to vote it down. And if they so do, the contract is null and void.
Everything.
Yes.
23,
I know,
Mr. Lyon.
I'm not saying they can, but
All right, 23.
Okay, 23, again, not on the capital plan. This is something that, again, has come together rather quickly. This one seeks a sum of money for what I call median markers on Cedar Street, Route 85. The selectmen have received calls from residents and others, and if you've traveled on that roadway, you know there's a 5-6 lanes that people try to cross over. It's very dangerous, very difficult to do. Basically, the need here is to make this area safer. The alternatives, we looked at more solid barrier types. Those have their own problems. In conjunction with the highway surveyor and the town planner, the highway surveyor is recommending what they call tough curb markers with yellow reflectors. I think I uploaded a picture for you there. You should be able to see them. The town planner has worked on a plan. The markers would be placed for approximately 280 feet. This would prevent drivers from trying to cross over those lanes. The quote we have, I think, in front of you is approximately $17,500 and some odd dollars. The article seeks $20,000. Again, it wasn't on the plan. This was something that when we had an issue, if you remember, with Wendy's in drainage, one of the exits was shut off. People were then coming up to the back of Wendy's onto 85, trying to cut across, and it made it even more difficult. The problem came to light. It took town planner, town engineer also was involved, and the highway surveyor a number of hours to kind of look at this. We also had to make sure that we didn't have any issues with DOT, state approval, which we don't. So it took a little while to put it together. And we think, and the selectmen think at this time, it's something we should go forward with, given the cost and in relation to that, the benefit achieved. So it's simply a safety. 17.5, I put in 20, but 17.5, correct.
Discussion.
You know I'm going to ask you. Is this a new road we just built that all of a sudden became an emergency?
No, but until people react to it, until people do studies on it, then it needs to
But
be
Rick,
done.
it's 20 grand. We
Okay.
couldn't have gotten a heads up?
Chris? Can I have a discussion with Mr. Tenero across the table? Jack?
Yeah, you're right.
Jack?
Right, I'm sorry.
In the past, when we've had these kind of things come up at the highway, we've actually had the highway surveyor manage it out of his current budget, and then we come back and replenish it at the end of the cycle if need be. This falls into road maintenance, signage, or whatever you want. And quite frankly, I think it should come out of the highway budget or be handled there with the understanding we're not going to penalize the highway department at the end of the year. You understand what I'm saying? And we need to find some way other than another article on town meeting floor, another article on town meeting floor, and we need to let the highway surveyor, some of these people, manage their budget with an understanding. Because we got people giving back money, but they're still putting articles on town meeting. And that doesn't, that's dumb. It's just poor management. And I know Mr. Crisafulli is willing to do these things just as long as he doesn't end up on, excuse my expression, on the short end of the stick in May. And I use May because that's when we start to reconcile all these budgets and coming down to a conclusion. And we have the capacity, the ability of this committee to move money pretty much anywhere we want to do it, quite frankly. We normally stay within the departmental budget. I'm just having
Aldo?
that conversation with you, sir.
Yep, Aldo?
Quick correction there,
Yep.
Fred. That's a state highway. We are authorized to do it.
We made sure, Mike Dean checked with DOT, one of the first questions I had and he had, that portion of it is under our control, we can. So they basically signed off and said we can.
A follow-up to that, we've had this discussion with Chief O'Laughlin on many occasions, and he'll tell you right up front that if I have to do this, I'll go get it out of here and work to the end. And we've never left him short. We've never had a problem. And this doesn't really rise to me to the level of requiring an article on town meeting floor. If it's 17,000 or 17.5, what's the total budget at the highway right now these days? A couple million? What's it? Yeah.
I mean, I had a conversation with Scotty, this was discussed, the preference was to go this way.
Okay, I understand the preference is because that cushions his budget another 18,000, 20,000. And I don't have a problem with that. If you want to do that, that's fine. He does a great job, but we don't really, somewhere along the line, we've got cushions, miscellaneous accounts in all these budgets, okay? And we need to learn to manage those. Not just take it.
Michael?
Just so I understand what we're doing.
Yep.
These are holes in the.
Yeah, I think you should.
It's trying to manage the highway.
Yeah.
Is this going to prevent people from taking those left turns onto Cedar and left turn onto?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, you described it to me earlier, it's like what you see on Route 6
I
going
almost,
down to
if
Cape.
you've been down
Yeah.
to Route 6 as you get past exit 9, 10.
13 miles of that.
I travel it many frequently, yeah.
So,
We don't have anything.
don't
I'm
have any
waiting.
motion.
I had a motion for a favorable recommendation by Aldo, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor of a favorable recommendation on Article 23? Anybody down?
No, go, it's fine.
All right. Unanimous.
I think that's it. I think the stormwater you're going to do next week,
Yep.
I hope.
I left that off on purpose.
Okay, we'll have Scott.
Because we're going to have Scott, Mike.
Mike here.
We'll talk about,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Rick. I appreciate.
Why bother have a budget?
All right, we're going to jump back to School Department, Article 33. This is their PEG access money that just is a reoccurring article every year.
Move favorable.
Motion by Jerry for a favorable recommendation.
I don't even need to read it. I've read it so many years.
That's the money that they get from Comcast and Verizon that allows them to.
Do we know how much that is?
It's in one hand and out the other.
Every part of our bills that we pay to Comcast and Verizon, us as consumers, there's a small portion of that bill that gets allocated to towns, schools, that type of stuff, in order for them to get that money into their account so that they can spend it for
And
their.
look at your bill, Verizon will say franchise fee.
Yeah.
Comcast will say $2.99 or whatever,
Yeah.
cost of franchisee. That's what you pay every month to kick in, I think it's like 300-ish grand a year to run the studio and the high school studio.
Yep.
But it's a line item. It's right on your bill. You're paying for it.
Thank you, Andy. I'm sorry. I appreciate you doing that because unfortunately we've done it so many times. We know what it is, but I'm glad that you asked it though. So I had a motion and a second. All those in favor for a favorable recommendation for Article 33? Unanimous.
Do we know how much that is this year?
Yep. Oh, one abstention from Aldo. Two
You want
abstentions.
time to get out of here.
Okay.
It's past my bedtime.
So my wife works.
I'm getting old.
All right, I have here zoning articles. I think that I probably titled that incorrectly. These are liquor license. Help me. Adding an additional liquor license.
Adding,
For some.
petitioning
You're
the
gonna petition the
legislature
legislature.
for an
Exactly.
extra license.
So on your agenda, it's labeled incorrectly.
So normally we refer those to sponsors.
The numbers are correct. Thank you, Jerry. Does that mean you're going to make a motion to refer to sponsor?
Refer to
Oh,
sponsor.
actually, the sponsor is the actual market.
Right. So it's up to him to
That's
defend it.
That's a little different.
Yeah, that's the point.
Hold on here. This is not the
Refer to
Selectmen,
sponsor.
Board of Selectmen.
The sponsor is Central Gas and Market.
I think we need to, hold on, I'm sorry, let's slow down. I'm glad you brought that to my point, because in the past, the Selectmen, Board of Selectmen petitions the legislature for additional license, if I remember correctly.
Well, this vote authorizes the Board of Selectmen. That's why it does exactly what you're saying, but the sponsor happens to be. The authorization is exactly how you referred. The Selectmen will give that, and they make it the deciding
Do
factor.
we have anything from the Selectmen about this?
It's a liquor license. I didn't get anything. I apologize. I didn't
I'm
think
not-
you.
I'm not-
No, and I didn't mean to sound curt to you, but I just know I didn't follow up.
We just don't know.
It was a liquor license. I
But
didn't
a
read
liquor
much more than
license
that.
is a huge thing to petition the legislature to get another one.
Not for me, it's not on the finance committee, I really didn't.
This is,
Paul?
So is there like a recommendation, because the selectmen haven't voted on it yet, or a recommendation from the planning board or any of those?
No, but I think he's right. You refer to sponsor, because it's up to the sponsor to convince the selectmen
To take the steps forward.
It's not up to us.
but we don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
We don't, it's a money article, number one.
Guys, yeah, you guys,
I don't have any
whatever the
problem, I don't have
pleasure
any
of the
problem
board.
with it, but I'm more accustomed to seeing the Board of Selectmen sponsor this.
As am I, Jerry. That's why I stopped you and I wanted to tell you who the refer to sponsor was, so.
And I wish.
However you guys wanted to handle
I wish
it.
Mr. Villani or somebody had enlightened us a little bit.
I can push this to next week if you
I'd
want
feel
to.
more comfortable we pushed it till next week.
Second by Aldo.
Agreed.
Okay, that's fine.
All those in favor for a response for an Article 20? Thank you. Same thing on 21, it's the exact same thing, except it's Water Street Meat Market with the authorization of the selectmen in order to receive that liquor license. Motion by Andy, second
Do we get a fee for those? Does the town get paid a fee?
by Bobby. All those in favor for refer to sponsor on 21? Thank you. 2021. Mr. Renaud did not come tonight, and he knew about it because I spoke to him on the phone.
Who?
Chuck, he has an Article 16, tree warden. So I guess we are not going to speak to him tonight because I'm not waiting for him. All right, yes, we are going to do that in just a second. I know it's late, guys, but I have to talk about this. The same topic came up, and I'm not saying there's anything on our part. I just think we need to readdress the capital situation. We need to talk to department heads. I'll send a letter out if need be. We're not getting the notification, or the capital thing seems to have slipped a little bit with people. Things are starting to get added on. We're starting to, get into the old habit where we establish this capital subcommittee and this capital schedule to enable our planning. Our planning is starting to become judgmental now instead of going by the list, which I understand that there are certain things, there are emergencies. Finding out a week before or the weekend before that a $600,000 truck is not on the capital anymore, that's huge. I mean, that changes everything. I mean, granted, it works out for us, but that's a game changer. These other things that are getting added on, we really need to impress upon our department heads through our subcommittees, and I'll send a letter out to them as well. We got to get more vigilant, and we got to get back on the saddle again with this capital plan. And I understand that there will be, emergencies, but we got to get back to that again.
We have ourselves to blame if that's the case.
Yep, and that's why I'm.
We just run around this.
Yep.
You want him to send a message. If you say no, just go.
Yep, Yep. No. Well,
Chris.
Well,
I have one comment.
we've been pretty good tonight. We were not.
I have one comment.
Yep.
The thing that I've noticed most often is the subcommittee and subcommittee chairmen are left out of the loop on the capital issues. And we have to stop that. That's exactly how you stop all this nonsense. All those park commission articles were never brought forth through the subcommittee.
Yeah.
Even this library,
And they
we
should
did
have.
have a meeting with this
Yep.
library one, and
Yep.
I actually thought that one should have gone, it actually ended up working out well.
Yep.
But once you start circumventing the subcommittee, the system breaks down.
Yeah, well, I don't think that it should have been anyone's intention to
They
circumvent.
do it though, because
Well,
we-
they should be telling you as well, and you should also be asking for it.
actually the subcommittee should bring the article to the capital.
Let me
Yeah, actually,
That's-
that's,
After joining the FinCom, after a while, I got the feeling that the subcommittees were almost only responsible for annual budgets,
yeah.
and that somehow capital expenditures were being handled separately, that the subcommittees
But your
weren't
subcommittee
really
should
part
also,
of it.
and to me, budgets should, department heads, should always be keeping their subcommittee in the loop about everything.
Well, I
it shouldn't
suggest
just
one
be about the
thing, that
budget.
If a department is coming to a capital planning meeting,
Yep.
that at least the chairman of the subcommittee should be notified
Yep.
that meeting is there, and
I think
he's
they're always
expected.
going to be invited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
They're
I
gonna be
mean,
invited.
Yep.
right now, there's no word whatsoever that the meeting even occurred.
yeah.
I know of at least 2 articles tonight that could have been prevented of coming on the town meeting floor had the subcommittee been involved.
Once again, and I wasn't, and
Maybe three.
I think we all know the way the conversation's going, and I didn't want to start in a long conversation, because like I said, we had it about 6 times tonight. But I think, like I said, we need to impress upon that we got to try to stop this. So,
Yeah, and the other thing too is,
yeah. No, and,
Go ahead.
I think you gotta impress upon the various departments, they gotta work with the subcommittees.
Yep.
Emphasize the subcommittees.
Yep.
If we don't believe it ourselves, then why
I agree.
Yep.
I mean, you know,
no, Al, you're absolutely on point. Jacko,
That's why it's failing.
seconded by Mike. All those in favor, unanimous. Thank you and have a good night.